Hello, and welcome to the Warrior Arts Renaissance Show, where you give us hard questions and we give you solid answers. I'm your host, Dr. Philip Payne, and I want to start off this week with a quick apology for the fact that I am running late. That's right. It's a rare thing for the show to come out late. I think it's only happened one other time. And that time it had to do with technical difficulties with the editing software that was new at the time. We're actually still working out the bugs, and we had some problems on Wednesday when we were scheduled to record and edit. And now here we are Sunday, beginning the following week. So what I'm going to do is, if I can get this episode together and get it out today, I want to make it kind of a bonus makeup um, episode, so that we're making up for last week, and then this Wednesday when we're scheduled to put something out for this week, we will put out yet another episode. So, with that said, I got two things I want to get into today. One of them is the concept of Shishiro Ito. Now, I've talked a lot on this podcast about Pumoshi. Okay, anybody who's listened for very long knows that I'm very much into the concept of Pumoshi, the universal pattern. I'm actually on the board for the Pumoshi Wudao, which is headed by Xiaoxi Rei, if you've listened at all, you heard about Xiaoxi Rei, or if you've listened to certain of the early in the season episodes, you've actually heard him come on and teach some about the history of Kung Fu and martial arts in general, and about the system that he teaches, American Shaolin Shenquan. What I want to talk about today, though, is something that kind of fits into that concept, but is different. And it's something that I had come to an understanding of before I met Xiaoxi Rei, but understanding the Pumoshi made it work better for me, okay? And that is the concept we call Shishiro Ito. Shishiro Ito means the forgotten way, or the way that was forgotten. What this is a series of principles and subset principles. So you have 7 principles, and each of them have a series of anywhere. I think the shortest one might be like 4 or 5 principles. I think the longest one has like 10 or 11 principles under it. The things that most martial artists today, at least most that I've encountered, haven't learned because it was hidden. It wasn't passed on to Westerners as openly. It was only a handful of people that got these things and brought them over. Some of them had to be rediscovered through studies of ancient texts, such as the Babishi, and other ancient texts, Art of War, different things, and these concepts were lost. And I feel I was very blessed. I don't believe in luck. I believe I was blessed to be in the right places at the right times, to study with the right teachers, to bring these ideas together, to see how they work. I was given the intelligence, I guess, to see how they fit together, and then to take them and apply them to every system I'd ever studied. And what I realized over time was that these 7 principles and their underlying principles that make them work, that they can make any system better. Just today, just this morning, I had one of my students in here. He's actually a black belt in another school, came over here not really looking for rank, but he knew that he was missing something. He's been off and on with me, I think, about 2 years, maybe a little longer. And today, he showed me 2 movements out of the system he has his black belt in. Movements that he has used effectively, but he knew they could be better. And he wanted to know, hey, what's going on here? What's wrong with this that is not working as well as I think it should? And I was able to take the Shishiro Ito formula, so to speak. I was able to take what I have there and give it to him piece by piece, I was able to say, okay, this can also be this. And if you turn your hand just so, you'll see, or if you lengthen your strength, elongate your body here on this strike, you will see that this is actually this. And it started to click for him. And so he walked away with a handful of new applications to those same old moves with just a little tweaking. And he's actually doing the techniques better for the purpose of damaging the opponent's body. I believe almost any technique can be improved. Okay. I've yet to meet the perfect fighter, and I've yet to see the perfect technique, because there's always something on that list that's being missed. And so when people come in and they say they've got experience in another system, I don't always make them go back and start at white belt. I didn't with this gentleman. He had many years of training, not as many as me, but way more than his rank indicated, because he had traveled around a lot and he'd studied a lot of different things over the years. And I was able to just look at it and say, okay, show me what you're doing. And I look at it and I'm able to help him improve that. That's something that more and more, I never thought it was all that special. I thought it was something that I did that worked for me that I was able to give to other people. And more, especially lately, I'm hearing people say, I don't need a whole new system. I don't need Bushu Jiu-Jitsu or Baha Kali or Yoshiko Togumi, but that's Yoshiro Ito. I need that. Okay. And I'm okay with that. Okay. Because if you're my student, your means of defending yourself doesn't have to look just like mine. Okay. If it doesn't, that's okay. I'm not having a problem with that. But the core principles that make good, sound self-defense, those need to be there, and that a lot of those were lost as the jitsu arts became do arts, or as they were handed over to Americans in a watered down fashion many times. Those things were lost. Okay, and so that's why the name for it, Shishiro Ito, the way that was forgotten. And there's a lot of things in that, and it's kind of a segue into the next thing I want to talk about. Coming up, then today's the 20th, so I guess it'd be next weekend. Coming up next weekend, one of my teachers is having a very special event. Grandmaster Jim Korn, you've all heard me talk about him. He's having some, not just himself, but some other, in my opinion, phenomenal instructors of Kyosho Jitsu coming to the forefront at his school in Washington, Indiana. And it's going to be an opportunity. If you are serious about martial arts and you want to improve your martial arts, okay, I urge you to go to this event. Okay, if you've never done Kyosho Jitsu, if you've never done Tuite, if you've never worked pressure points, the Chinese medicine pressure points, into your combat system, I pretty much beg you to go check this out. I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to back up many, many years. I believe the year was 1993. And I had been in the martial arts for about 8 years. And I had done Ishinryu, I'd done Taekwondo, I'd done some Kung Fu. And I'm walking through the park in Dale, Indiana. I'm walking through the park with a friend of mine named Ryan. And there's a fall festival going on. And I walk up onto, ta-da, it's a karate school giving a demonstration. And me being me, I just stopped. And Ryan's like, come on, we got to go. And I was like, no, I got to see this. And I saw this old man, okay? I say old. At the time, I felt he was old. I'm almost now the age that he was, probably. But I saw what I perceived to be this very old man walk up and just barely hit one of his students, as the master hitting one of the instructors in the school. And he did a technique that I knew. He did a movement that I knew from kata, and I knew it well. I saw it in Ishinru. I did it in Ishinru. Okay, I did versions of it and everything I'd ever done. But he walked up and while explaining that he was short-circuiting the neurological processes in the guy's body, he hit him with this technique that I had seen being a block and and a parry, but I'd never seen used as an actual strike. And he struck him very lightly, and the guy passed out. And I looked at Ryan. I looked at the friend that I was there with, and I said, "This is what I've been looking for." I said, "I don't know if this is real, but if it's real, I got to learn it." Okay, because this is the missing piece, and it really wasn't the missing piece of what I'd been doing, but it was first um, the first introduction I had to the many things that would become the Shishiro Ito process. Because most most Americans who went to the Orient and learned karate and kung fu and jiu-jitsu and all these things and brought them back, in the early days they had what they called airplane dons, okay, black belts that you got on the airplane. Okay, and what that means is you went over and you got a first or a second degree black belt. And then your teacher, because he wanted you to be able to teach when you came back, he'd give you a certificate that said you were a 6th degree black belt or a 5th degree black belt, and you'd come to America and you'd train. Now, some of them got in that way because the teachers were trying to promote their art, and that's their decision. Whatever they thought they needed to do, I'm not knocking that. Some who didn't get it given to them legitimately took their 2nd degree black belt or whatever they got from their teacher and came to the United States and claimed to be those higher ranks. And that's a whole other issue that we're not going to go into today. I have a lot of problem with that. But the fact is that a lot of them brought over 1st, 2nd, maybe 3rd dan level information and spread it out over a long period of time where it should have taken a handful of years because that is the foundation. And then they had to keep promoting their students. To keep students, they had to keep promoting them. So they kept doing that, and they weren't giving them any deeper knowledge because they didn't get it themselves. And part of that was strategic on the part of primarily the Okinawans, but other cultures too weren't giving out the information because, frankly, we had just whipped Japan in the Second World War. We were occupiers, and yes, we were willing to pay for the knowledge, but they weren't really always willing to give it up, and understandably so. Had the roles been reversed, we wouldn't have given up our fighting secrets either. That's just the truth. And so what it came down to is this Kyusho Jitsu, the first piece of Shishiro Ito, as far as it's not the first piece you learn when I'm teaching you, but it's was the first thing that opened my eyes to just how much I didn't know and didn't have, even after 8 years of training. And it set me on a course that I've never gotten off of always digging deeper and trying to find that missing piece. You today can have a shortcut to that part of it, not today, actually next weekend, can have a shortcut to that part of it. You can go to Washington, Indiana. Okay. You can go on my Facebook page. You can look at my friends list. You can find Jim Korn. I think it's under James E. Korn, I think. You can also look up Mark Brian Klein, who is going to be another of the instructors there, I believe, those are, to this day, those are the two I consider them true masters of Kyushu Jitsu. A lot of people claim that position, but these guys are the real deal. And I just can't say enough what a great opportunity it would be if you took them up on it, go to Washington, Indiana this coming weekend, and learn everything you can from them. And I promise you that it will make your practice, your fighting skills so much better. You will wonder how you ever fought before, because it will change everything. It will shift your paradigm. And if it does not, if you call me up or you email me or Facebook me or whatever you want to do, if you put it in the comments on this podcast and you say, I went to Washington, Indiana, I took the seminar with Jim Korn and Mark Klein, and I did not feel that it improved my system at all, I will give you 1 month of free classes in my school. And I will throw in a full video of an entire seminar of Shishiro Ito, everything I've got that makes other people's systems better. If you can honestly say to me that training with them did not improve your system or your personal fighting skills, I believe that much in what they're doing. That's all the time I have for this week, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk at you in a few days.